hot, sweaty. The weather can't make up its mind here. We are here. We are live. This is episode 158 of Snakes and Stogies, which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Use the code THN at checkout. Save yourself a little bit of money. Get yourself a rack. Get yourself a cage. Really nice stuff you won't be disappointed with. Whether you like racks, whether you like cages, there's something for everybody. And even the new rack features and stuff they're dropping are pretty sweet. Stuff that I'm really surprised hadn't really been done before. So please go check that out. See all the new features and stuff at blackboxcages.com. And then head over to Puget Sound Pythons. Give them a follow on Facebook and Instagram. Go follow them on Morph Market. See what they're posting. We're keeping all the intro stuff fairly brief. So speaking of Morph Market, this week we're joined by Mr. Darien Drollinger, who is the new owner of Morph Market. Obviously, Phil is not here. It is Phil's anniversary, and he did not notify me until this morning. So we had Bill fill in. No pun intended.
That's
and,
right.
I'm excited to get into this, man, because I know 2 weeks ago, when it was sort of first announced, the whole Morph Market change up, we had talked about it sort of briefly on the tail end of the show 2 weeks ago, and I don't know. Darien hit me up a couple days after that, and I think a lot of the sentiments I had were the same ones that I'm sure a lot of people had in terms of like not really sure in what's going to happen moving forward. And it's a platform I know that is loved by a lot of people, and I don't see that changing, but there's always some sort of trepidation, I guess, when there's a changing of the guard of sorts. But we'll get into all that. I think a lot of people probably know you from dbroaches.com. That's where I was familiar with you from before all this. So what's your background and how did you end up being the new owner of Morph Market?
Well, always been into reptiles, and got into the roach game, I guess. And Morph Market was kind of something that I've always been, I guess, into. My background is more the web development, web design sort of thing, and that this was kind of right up my alley. So it between that and just being into everything when it comes to reptiles, I mean, Morph Market was just a cool platform that hopefully I can make a big difference with, and improve a little bit, and gives me a little bit more, involvement in the industry rather than just, hey, here's your cockroaches and whatever. So
you have three things. So you have Morph Market now, you have Dubia Roaches, and then you have a storefront.
Yeah, we have two pet stores in Wichita. Haven't decided if we're opening more anywhere else yet. I think we might in a few other cities. And then we have our reptarium and our aquarium that we're opening in Wichita.
Wow. Yeah. Which was first? Was it Dubia Roaches and then the storefronts? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's a lot to keep up with, man.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I guess like with the whole Morph Market thing, it came as a surprise to a lot of people. Was that something that was sort of in the works for a while? I mean, I'd imagine that's not something that just decided to happen, over the span of 2 weeks. And
no, it was several months. Yeah.
Okay.
Several months. Yeah. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months or so.
And how's the reception as far as so far? How's the reception been? It seems like you've been talking to a lot of people, getting a lot of feedback. Is it generally positive?
Yeah, generally it's been positive. I mean, I've gotten a decent amount of negativity and, a lot of that as well. But definitely the majority has been positive, which is good. And yeah, it's been taken pretty well for the most part. There's definitely groups of people that aren't a fan, but to each their own, I guess. I mean, I'm not really going to be doing anything crazy with it, so
Right.
just trying to make it better and get everybody more sales. So I mean, we've had the past week, record traffic. Never had this much
Oh wow.
traffic to the website, views on Facebook, Google ads, visibility, or views on Instagram. So all that is basically, since I took over, it's been a new record every single week. So hopefully that translates into actual sales and people buying, which it seems like it is so far. But it's going to take a few weeks to really figure that out. So
yeah, it's funny how it's seeing the progression of it all, because I remember when it first came out, and it was, I think, strictly balls to begin with.
all pythons, yeah.
And I was like, man, this is really nice. Like, it sucks that it's pretty much catered to nothing but the ball crowd. As someone who's just, I'm not, I've had balls here and there. I'm not, it's not my jam. But I remember seeing the platform and thinking how nice it was to have something that was sort of newer and updated, as opposed to king snake and fauna and things like that. And, another avenue that was much more modern and sort of with the times. And also, I mean, seeing it when it had ball pythons and stuff strictly, and being like, man, I don't like, how are they going to beat fauna and king snake? Like, those were the standard for such a long time. More so, I think fauna, as time went on, like, good luck getting people to jump platforms and switch to something new. And then over time, man, it grew and grew and grew, and eventually it did take over all of that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think John did a really, really great job of keeping the progression of it and like the updates. None of it felt rushed, like in terms of features and things like that. Like, my biggest issue with like Facebook and Instagram and stuff is they try too hard to make it convenient and easy to use, and like, as a result of doing that, only make it more convoluted. And so one of the things I appreciated the most about what John did was, like, everything he did was very purposeful. Everything he added, was something that was practical. And so, when they made the announcement about it switching over, that was kind of my biggest point of concern, was like, well, what's are the brakes gonna get pumped on that? Is the gas gonna hit the floor? Like, what's the sort of the plan there? But I know you've already made some sort of small changes. Like, I think the funniest thing that everyone I know has commented on was all the top, like, thumbnails for all the different categories were updated, and they all kind of matched.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of other changes as well. I mean, even in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be more stuff rolled out. Next couple months is really when people are going to start seeing a lot, because obviously I've had to kind of start off, fresh on this and kind of get everybody on the same page and all that. But we've got some really cool stuff in the works. So it's going to be fun. A lot of cool things.
Any changes that are going to be made to the forums, this forum side of things?
Yeah. The current Morph Market community will stay, but we're going to add an additional platform that's more of a kind of a hybrid between like the current community and more of a social media app.
Okay.
So more social media oriented, and we're going to kind of import all of the listings and all that on there as well, so you can kind of use Morph Market or this other platform. So that'll be kind of cool. We'll have some really, really cool features there. People will actually be able to react to things and comment and stuff like that. More conversation. The current Morph Market community on there, is pretty decent, but it's a little bit, I don't know, a little bit old school, I guess. Kind of more forum bulletin board style. So we're gonna hopefully make some improvements there.
Yeah, I pop on there semi-regularly. I like that sort of older forum kind of setup to it, and there's a ton of people on there with ball python questions and stuff, which I'm of no help with, but there are people that get chondros and other odds and ends that I do have experience with and can chime in on. So I do try to pop in there fairly regularly and see if there's anything in there I can be a help with. And all the admins and moderators have been super helpful. We had the Slate Read raffle a couple of weeks ago. They were more than willing to help out as far as setting up sections and categories for that. And they've always been, even with the magazine and stuff years ago, they've been super helpful. So
yeah,
it's been nice. Like it's definitely doesn't get used enough by people, but given Facebook groups and things like that, getting people to sort of sign up on another place where they have to actually put effort into doing that seems to be tough. And I think that's why kind of forums sort of slowly withered away, was that extra wall of login was enough barrier to make people turned off to it. So
yeah, people don't like having a ton of accounts to deal with and manage and check every day. So yeah, I don't blame them. Yeah, hopefully we can, implement something that works a little bit better for people. That's I don't know. It's kind of a hybrid between like the old bulletin board forum style and then like current social media. It's like that's kind of what that's what I'm working on. It's like try to get the best of both worlds. There's some benefits to the social media side, but
right.
The algorithms and all that stuff are just stupid. So we're kind of looking at more of a kind of more like Reddit style, I guess, where it's kind of like a, hey, post something about reptiles and like the top stuff of the day is all just going to show up on this home feed where you can scroll and you can see like trending things. You can see like the top listings, the most engaged with posts, things like that. And then there'll be more of like groups or whatever where, if people want to have like a bearded dragon group, they can kind of do their own thing. So
yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
What are some of the sort of planned immediate changes versus some of the sort of long term with Morph Market as a whole, not necessarily even the community side of things, but
some of the first things that we're doing right now, we're going to be rolling out some, I guess, more like graphics changes and things like that, making things a little bit easier to use, making the listings. So if you're on like a phone, for example, right now they're like small thumbnails and they don't really have a whole lot of info on them. So you're going to see like, these small thumbnails with, you're not going to see the full, listing name, like name of the animal. The seller's name is down below that. It's pretty small, but we're going to turn it into a little bit more similar to like Instagram or Facebook, I guess, layout wise. Like the images are going to be full width, they're going to be bigger. The seller name and like profile photo is going to be up at the top corner. And you're going to have a little follow button so you can quickly follow a seller. And then we're going to make it to where the actual, listing, the animal, I guess the species and genetics and all that are going to be listed out to where you can actually see the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's going to be a lot better. We're probably going to add like a like button and a share button and stuff like that to each one so that you can just scroll through, see all your stuff and, see what you're looking for. And, it'll be bigger photos, more visibility, and more visibility for the sellers. That's the big thing right now. It's like you go on Morph Market and it's not really for the sellers. It's not like branded for them, as much as it could be. So that's something, we already did implement recently. We already updated the basically even lower, basic account holders, their logos now show up in like stores and things like that. So just trying to give everybody a little bit more visibility, which I think is going to be good. Beyond that, we're going to have some more features for buyers and sellers on like the ratings and feedback side of things and likelihood of making a purchase. So that's one that we're going to roll out in the next week or two. Going going to make it a little bit easier for sellers to actually see if a buyer is legit. That's a big one that I see complaints about a lot, just tire kickers and, people messaging on there, messaging 50 sellers and never buying anything. You're now going to see kind of a rating system of, this person who reached out to you is very unlikely to buy, or moderately, or extremely likely, things like that. So going to help give people a little bit more incentive to be, better, I guess, and not just reach out to everybody. While also allowing, sellers to see like, oh, okay, should I, how legit is this person?
Right.
That should help quite a bit. I think that a lot of people like that. And then we're going to add kind of a premium, Morph Market premium sort of account for buyers as well. So going to have some of that, go to USARK and conservation and all that, from the fees from that. But it's going to add some features to allow buyers to have kind of a badge like verification. And that's going to help sellers quite a bit. So, sellers are going to see not only ratings now on, how likely someone is to buy, all that, but they're now going to be able to see, oh, this person has a premium account, which, money's going to USARK and things like that. And then also, just a little bit more transparency there, I guess, on both ends. So
yeah, and that's always sort of been the hardest part, is everyone wants the tire kickers and stuff, like a way to sort of regulate that and people doing it. And I think the only reason it hasn't happened is because no one had a feasible way to do it that sort of worked.
Yep.
It's like, how do you, like, if it's someone who hasn't bought before and they're so indecisive that they're messaging 50 people and not responding to any of them, it's like you can't catch all of those. So I think a rating system is probably the best way to do that. And then on the sellers too, I know there's a couple sellers on there that I don't have any interest in really following or anything like that. And that's there's a block feature there that I have used, and it's mostly just because they were people that I wasn't a fan of, or they'd blow up the feed so much with their stuff that it was like, mother of God, I just want to see what everyone else has. So what's, as far as, is the rating system for sellers being updated in a way that sort of reflects the the buyer side of things? And
yeah, we're going to be updating the rating system for both buyers and sellers to make it all a little bit better. Just going to be easier to use, more flexible, I guess, and easier for sellers to see buyer ratings, and not only the buyer ratings, but kind of an overall rating where you can see, the rating of the buyer, as well as how likely they are to buy. So if they are reaching out to a ton of people and they're only buying one, or they never bought an animal, like you're going to see kind of like, oh, they have a poor buyer, likelihood of buying, which is going to help quite a bit, because that's just something that, you've got a handful of users on there that just do that all the time. Oh, see what kind of deal I can get today. See if I can talk somebody down to half price or whatever. So, just kind of.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to not really have dealt with that very much. But I've also pretty much go into any messages I get of inquiry, sort of fully expecting the person to just disappear and not follow through. So I don't really get upset about it. But for people that do it as, on a much larger scale than I do, I can understand the frustration of answering messages constantly.
Yeah.
And not having anyone really follow through there. So
and that's the other thing too. It's like, with Dubia.com, and we have thousands of people a week message us, and a lot of them it's just random stuff. And I know how it is. I did customer service for us for the first several years. And it was, at one point, I mean, I was probably 20 plus 20 to 30 hours a week for about a year. I was just on, customer service all day. And, that it's a pain in the ass, it's definitely, it's not, it's not fun to deal with, but even though there were a ton of people that like didn't buy, just wasting my time, whatever, it's like you still have to be professional.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is another big thing that everybody needs to work on. Even sellers, like, hey, look at this stuff as this is a potential buyer. Yeah, you might not sell an animal to somebody, but if you're a dick to them, they're never going to buy from you. Like that's the thing. They're going to go somewhere else. So, I mean, I get it. It's can be kind of a pain, but it's like,
it's the dance. It's part of the gig.
It's part of it.
You're going to have to deal with it at some point or another, to some degree or another. There's no getting away from it.
Yep.
Someone asked, what about a function to transfer a sold animal's data over to the new owner if the animal was sold to another Morph Market user?
Yeah, so that's something that probably 6 months out on something like that, but it is something that we're going to be working on pretty heavily. Once we get to that, it's going to be a little bit more in depth. We're actually going to allow, so the animal transfer is going to move all of the animal data. They're going to be able to, see like, hey, I bought it from this seller, all that. That's all going to transfer over. And then we're going to be adding features to basically allow like kind of push notifications and things like that, kind of updates about each animal. So, long term, there might be a seller, they sell something at an expo, or maybe it's a pet store, that's on Morph Market, and they sell an animal locally. They'll be able to give like an ID, and the buyer can actually put in that ID, claim the animal, the seller can approve it. That animal, all the data from it, lineage, whatever's in the system gets transferred over. And now that buyer, who might not even know about, ball pythons, for example, they're going to get updates and kind of, basic things that, come to them over time. And it'll say, hey, here's recommendations on, vet clinics in your area. It's been a year, you need to take your animal in, things like that, or, upgrade your enclosure. It's time to, make a change. So that's some stuff that we're going to work on. That's going to be kind of taking that animal data to the next level. But I'm also very, and the whole, some of us on the team, on the Morph Market team, are actually, really into the analytical side of things. And we're going to be really getting involved a lot more this year with, kind of like market trends and analytical data and, data about each species and morph and all that. And then we're going to have some of that available on, your dashboard as a buyer or a seller. So you're going to have specific information that's available, and you're going to be able to see, long term, we can really, really have a lot of information and really see exactly what's going on, like as a whole.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really cool to see some of that, especially as buyers and sellers and transferring, information, like 5-10 years from now, hopefully the goal is to have, one breeder buys from another breeder, all the data transfers over, and that data stays. So when they breed that animal to something else, and, you can see all that lineage going back. So, years down the road, the goal is to have, one breeder be able to post an animal, and you see the proof that, hey, this actually came from these parents, and that those came from those. And basically have all that information right at your fingertips, and then nothing can be kind of fudged with and, manipulated by people moving forward. So there's no question to what something is. And then to take it a step further is, more with like the genetic side of things. Once if you have an animal tested for specific, genes and all that, that's going to be really cool. Cause even, hets, you can have something that is a possible het, and you can get it tested and have proof, hey, this is actually a het.
Mm-hmm.
And not only will the value go up, but you can actually sell it as a,
right,
as a,
right.
and
It's not questionable at that point.
yeah, you've got the data there. So,
right.
I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff we can do, long term with this that I'm really excited about, because, I mean, it's kind of a game changer, with the whole industry, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
breeding and all that in general. So,
well, even like given as how cyclical and the waves of trends that come and go with the hobby and stuff over time, it would be really interesting to see like the very large picture of like, in this 2-year period, this particular morph in corns was really popular, and then you saw it transition and switch over to something else. Like if we're talking about sort of that kind of stuff, it would be really interesting to see how things ebb and flow in terms of popularity and things like that. Because we know it happens, and we kind of know it happens on a several year sort of cycle, but it would be really cool to see that long term.
Yeah, that's something we're going to work on. We're going to have kind of some like projection stuff where we can, you can go on there and kind of see like, oh, these are trending species, this month, and trending morphs and all that. And then, kind of see like pricing as well. So you can see, okay, this specific morph, this size or age, or male, female, whatever, you can kind of filter out and see what these things are and what they're how popular they were in the past, how popular they are going forward. So there's quite a bit we can do there, which will be really cool. Billy asked, having a care sheet tab.
That's to keep Jenkins from buying a croc monitor. Ignore him.
We are going to have a care sheet tab on there so that people who are brand new to things, they're going to be able to actually click right over and see kind of a basic guide of, how to take care of things. And actually, I want to add something to the site too, with like more articles or, public, I guess care sheets that are provided by breeders and, by sellers. So they can have their own care sheets that they upload. And, now those are on their own profile, and they're also on the site in the article section, which kind of allows people to go through and like or dislike articles and kind of give them a rating,
Yeah.
And then over time, a lot of these sellers, can actually have a care sheet that they can provide to people that buy from them, as well as, on the site in general, and kind of get more visibility that way.
Yeah, that'll be nice too, because I think that's a large struggle for a lot of newer people coming in, is like between social media and then just the endless amounts of information on Google and stuff. There's so much information, and there's conflicting numbers and parameters, and to have a sort of a singular place where you can get reliable information and then also be able to buy from reliable people and in one designated area, I think is going to make a big difference.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest things with Morph Market, long term, is kind of changing that. That's just all the information out there. I mean, people look stuff up and then they get the wrong info, and then it just kind of makes the hobby look bad, I guess. They buy an animal and then it's dead a month later. And it's like, as soon as we change that, reptiles are definitely going to be more mainstream. That's one of the biggest things. I couldn't even tell you how many times, I've heard from some random person, I go out and somebody finds out, oh, you own exotic pets. I'm like, yep. They're like, yeah, I bought a lizard years ago from blah, 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 Petco, and it died like 2 months later. So haven't had one since. And it's like, it's just bad information. And, you Google, ball python care or whatever. And a lot of it's like, just random websites that aren't good. They're just kind of paying to be there, or, they're just a website with, blogs or, whatever. And it's like they show up first, so Morph Market hopefully can take that over. And then also even the for sale side of things, you look up ball pythons for sale, bearded dragons for sale, leopard geckos for sale, whatever, you're going to find a lot of, questionable places right off the, right
Yeah.
off the bat. It's like, hopefully we can push that up, I mean, that's, yeah.
Harry brought up a good point too about having like a journal section where, scientific papers and stuff get published, which might be tough for a lot of newer people, but I think for people like myself and Bill and definitely our friend group, we love reading papers and stuff, especially about species that we're interested in particular.
Yep.
So, can I ask a question as a person who doesn't breed or sell anything?
Go for it.
I forgot Bill was there.
And I'm not trying to be negative. Morph Market, I think, is an awesome platform for people who buy stuff. I just shop there. I don't breed or sell things, and I don't use the community aspect of it at all.
Yeah.
I think it is a very slippery slope to start rating buyers and having premium buyers, because that sounds a lot like pay-to-play gatekeeping, which would make somebody like me just shop at shows. Because I don't buy high-dollar morph animals. I shop very specifically. So if you looked at my history, it would be less, maybe not less purchases, but like it's all really specific stuff. I don't need to ask 50 tire kicker questions.
Yeah.
And the people that you're talking about asking 50 tire kicker questions are likely pet keepers, single animal keepers who don't know enough, or it's people who are just trying to get the best deal, scam on a single gene ball python because they're starting out in the game anyway. And like, that's,
You're at the
to
bottom
me,
of the
like
pyramid.
then don't sell stuff. Like if you don't want to talk to annoying people, don't have a business where you sell things. Being in retail sucks. That's why nobody wants to do it. Owning reptiles is fun. Selling reptiles sucks. That's what everybody says. So like if you like stratify the way that I'm able to buy things, that would make me not want to participate.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, no, we're not going to. Okay, I'm gonna go.
I see the other side of the coin, where it's like if you have a premium buyer aspect where that gives more credence, and knowing that the likelihood of someone following through because they're spending money on the account and they use the website and app on a regular basis to the point to where they're like, okay, I'll give them this money per month, whatever. Yeah, I would be much more apt to sell.
Yeah, we're not going to have like a social credit system or anything like that. So the way I see it is right now you have sellers with bad ratings for whatever reason, or buyers with bad ratings. So a seller might, have some sort of issue with the buyer. The buyer, either asks a ton of questions, or maybe they, bought an animal and made a big fuss about a bunch of things, whatever that may be. The seller can currently rate the buyer. That's going to stay the same. The buyer also has like number of inquiries. So they might have reached out to 100 people, but only actually purchased or had a complete transaction with 2. So the combination of those 2 things are going to affect the buyer rating. The buyer rating isn't necessarily going to be like, oh, this person is, 5% or whatever. It's basically just going to say, once we have enough data on a buyer, it's going to say something along the lines of, on a scale of 1 through 5, or, this person is not very likely to buy, this person is moderately, this person is likely to buy, or very likely to buy. We're not going to make it too extreme to where like a high percentage of people have like low likelihood of buying. Like we're going to manipulate it to where it's like generally in a more positive way. But then that way, if there are outliers who are like really bad and have 200 requests and buy 0 animals or buy 1, they are going to have a unlikely to buy score, so there's going to be like a small percentage of people with that. It's not going to have to do with the dollar amount they spend or number of animals or anything like that. It's literally just going to have to do with, if they are legitimately the worst on the site, because there are the worst, like whether they have really bad reviews, ratings, whatever.
They're going to have to earn that rating, basically.
Down,
they're gonna...
where it's like,
well, my thing with it is, as a person who only buys, I don't sell. Like currently, Morph Market is my option. The other platforms are essentially dead. This is just me, my opinion as a person who buys.
Morph Market's like 95% of
it is my option.
Online reptile sales,
because all the major social media platforms said you can't talk about money and sales and so on and so forth. So that killed it. It went straight to Morph Market, which cool fit. I'm a weird buyer in that I look for strange things, or I know exactly what I want. Like I'm one of the few people that they were messing around in the comments, but like I straight up am the kind of person who would buy a croc monitor legitimately. So I would just go search it, and I know how much it costs, and it's a lot of money and shipping and all this craziness. And so what I think as a buyer is, it somewhat feels like I'm stuck using Morph Market. I don't mind it because it's really good. But then when I hear the scoring thing and all of that for buyers, like I just think new people and they're going to blast question, and it looks bad because they don't know. So they're like, oh, carpet pythons are cool. Let me ask all the carpet nerds. Like, I don't know. I think that would be, you're going to have to really work to parse that out from the newbies asking a million questions.
I'm not going to do that. As I said, like the rating system is not going to be extreme in any way. It's not going to affect that much. It's literally just saved for kind of like, okay,
repeat offenders.
Yeah. Like, okay, this is really bad. Cause that's my thing. I've gotten a lot of comments on Facebook. I make posts about it. I'm like, hey, feedback, we're going to change whatever. People reply, and a lot of sellers are complaining about tire kickers and whatever else, right? Personally, my personal opinion is sellers need to just suck it up and deal with it. That's my honest opinion about it is, hey, that's going to happen. You're in business selling something, and go work retail for a week. And that is literally what happens. 80-90% of the people coming into a pet store are sitting there, bringing their kids in, and they're running around, hitting tanks, whatever. That's just life. Like, that's just how it's going to happen. Like, that's just what's going to happen. So really, I'm doing the buyer rating part just to appease people who are going to complain, sellers who are going to complain. I hope that a lot of them are listening right now to this. So, it's just deal with it. Like, I'm going to give you something here where you can kind of see, okay, this person is very unlikely to buy whatever, some people are going to get that sort of rating, but it's going to be pretty hard to get. Like, it's not, most are going to be kind of in the middle, and it's going to be slightly up or slightly down. And it's going to give you a little bit more of an idea, but it's just part of business. It's just part of how it works. And that you just got to deal with it. If you don't like Morph Market, well, cool. See you later. Like, if half the people on Morph Market stop selling tomorrow, I don't care. It's just going to make everybody else twice as much money because we're going to get more and more buyers on there. So if you want to complain about Morph Market, see you later. I don't care. Like, that's my personal view.
Have you ever tried to sell anything on Facebook? It's horrible there.
Oh yeah, it's
I vowed to never sell anything on Facebook ever again after I tried to sell a car, and it was a nightmare. And I was like,
and we're going to remove. We're going to remove some of these people. Like, there's some people on there that we can see have 1,000, inquiries. Like, they just, every day they're on there just, message, and they get a bunch of bad ratings, and we're either going to get rid of them or we're going to put their, rating down. That's just how it's going to go. But it's, honestly, like, I've seen a lot of screenshots, a lot of friends on Facebook who are sellers, and some of the messages they like reply to somebody asking a question. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to get that buyer because you're dead. Like, it's just
bedside manner.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is. I'm going to get flack for that, but that's just how it is. And it goes both ways. I mean, it does go both ways. So I do understand that. So I'm going to make everything better overall. I'm not going to make major changes, but I'm going to make it a little bit better for buyers and for sellers. And I'm going to, kind of make some improvements there. The premium account thing I was talking about. So that's one other change. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but I'm just going to go for it. So we're going to add like a Morph Market Plus. It's going to be, a few bucks a month, and buyers are going to be able to get, a bunch of different features that are going to be part of that. Some of that money is going to go to USARK. Some of it's going to go to conservation. That's going to be awesome because, it's going to kind of show, support for things. But some of the features you're going to get, one big one is right now there's kind of like a delay system where, you make a listing and, it kind of goes through a process, on the back end. We're going to push that a bit more and kind of make things a little bit more randomized. Because like right now, as you were saying earlier, toward the beginning of this, you had mentioned that, some sellers on there, might go post 100 or 200 animals all at once. We're going to make it to where sellers, they can post 200 animals, but they're going to be delayed. So a couple minutes between each one, so that there's not like 200 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then it's just them, the first 3 pages on Morph Market for that day. It's just not very user friendly. So we're delaying this stuff, but we're also delaying everything by like approximately 24 hours. So you post an animal, and we're going to get a ton of people on Morph Market Plus who are going to be more likely to buy, because not only are they spending the money for Morph Market Plus and donating to USARK and things like that, but they're also going to get a 24-hour kind of VIP access. So kind of like at Reptile Expos. You go to a Reptile Expo and you get in early, or you get in on Friday or whatever, and you get to buy stuff early. So this will allow people to go on, and in that first 24 hours, so any time of the day, they get on there and they're seeing stuff that not everybody else is seeing. And that, they'll be able to see that, oh, this animal is, about to go public. They're going to be more inclined to buy in that 24-hour period. So it's going to help sellers a ton. Some people might not like the delay on the listings, but it's 24 hours. It's like, a lot of people have the animals for a couple of weeks or whatever before they sell them. So, but in that 24 hours, you're probably going to be more likely to actually get a sale than without this feature. And you're going to be reaching out, people are going to be reaching out, more likely to buy. And when you see that they are a Morph Market Plus, member, and they have the badge on there, be like, oh, these people are actually supporting USARK and, all this other stuff, and they're paying for this feature. So they're more
serious.
Likely
to be more serious.
Yep.
See, I think how I use Morph Market might be, I don't know. I guess I'm weird. I don't see most of the problems you guys are talking about. Dude, no, like I am much more interested in the search features and how I can filter things. And because I don't just go to corn snakes and scroll. Yeah, of course. It took me a long time to get through 3,000 snakes. No,
I want to see all
go
of them.
and I want to see buttercorns or what. Like I go look for what I'm looking for, and then I have to scroll through the things that I'm looking for, of course. But it is a tiny fraction of rat snakes or what have you. So I don't ever see the problem of Joe Schmo posted 48 king snakes and now I can't see page 2. It's like, well, no, because I was only looking for Apalachicola, so there's only 5 people that had them anyway. So I was just looking at those ads to see if they had girls or whatever. I don't know. I guess just the shopping style runs into different or less problems, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we are gonna make add some features for that as well. So if you are kind of like more of a power user and you're using filters and search and all that quite a bit, we're gonna make it easier to save all those searches, so you can have specific things like on your home feed or your like dashboard where you can go in and see like, okay, these are what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And then you can follow specific, sellers and all that. And then we're going to add that as a feed on like the home page. So on the home page, you'll have kind of like tabs at the top, similar to, Facebook or Reddit or whatever. Reddit's kind of the main one that I use as a reference for that. So you can just quickly, switch between these different things and, see like anything that's like recommended for you. You'll basically see, recent listings that are based on, sellers that you're subscribed to, things like that. So we're going to make it a lot more intuitive, a lot easier to find what you're looking for. And, I'm kind of trying to take the approach of like how to just make this platform better for everybody. And there's obviously certain groups of people, you've got buyers like yourself who are looking for something specific. You've got buyers who are browsing. You've got buyers who have no idea what they're looking for. And they get on the homepage and, they have no idea what the difference is between a ball python or a carpet python or a reticulated python. And, they have no clue. And so, I'm trying to like modify things and manipulate things in a way to where it's easier for everybody. And, that's part of like our homepage changes that we made, like to categories. We reorganized all of them to where they're actually based on popularity now. So your, like ball pythons is first, and then it's bearded dragons, and then boa constrictors, and then crested geckos is, number 4. So those are all like your top. It's based on what species are most looked at. And then from there, we're going to be kind of diving into each thing and, showing popular, other popular things, and just kind of making it better for people to quickly find what they're looking for. Cause it's, kind of difficult to do in some cases. So
is the basic tier, the tier above free, that one's new, right? Was that something you brought in when you came in, or was that something John?
No, that was on there. We made a couple adjustments to it. We added some features and increased like capacities and limits and things like that on there. But
because that's I was doing I think it was the $25 a month, $20 a month, not that long ago. I breed. I don't usually have a ton of stuff for sale, and so that was kind of one thing I was looking for, was a tier that was above free but below that, that $25 one, because it was like I don't have 30 animals to sell, but I do have 15. So having that extra tier in the middle there really works out for guys like me that don't have a ton but do have more than 3. Are there any other plans to adjust membership tiers, or are those pretty much set where they're at for the time being?
Those are pretty much going to stay the same. There's going to be some new features that come out that are going to be for, each one. They're going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about some of those. There's, we're working on our local section and wholesale. Those are going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about both of those.
How's the wholesale section going to work?
So first, local is something that I'm just really excited about, because there's never been anything like that in the reptile industry. Like, it's never been easy for people to, find stuff locally in any way other than expos. And the goal is to kind of tie that in with expos. So let's say you're thinking about going to, Tinley, and you can go on the Tinley page and you can see, animals that are going to be available at Tinley on Morph Market. So that's kind of the goal with that. And then, having the local section where, you can just see anything available within 50 miles of you. And then that kind of goes into the wholesale side as well, because, on the wholesale side, you pretty much have pet stores. So I'm going to be going out, I'm going to do like Super Zoo and Global Pet Expo and some of these big, pet store expos as Morph Market, and really push that to pet stores and say, hey, here, we've got a wholesale platform on here where you can buy not only locally, but in our wholesale section as well. And you can filter by local in there and, buy these animals directly from the source. You've got so many breeders out there that are supplying all these distributors and, you know, wholesalers and importers and whatever else, and all these places that are then selling the animals to a pet store. And the combination of local and wholesale is something that is going to completely change the way that pet stores buy and sell animals, because and everybody's going to see a huge increase in sales from that, because like the actual numbers on it, I mean, I'm a numbers guy, and a lot of people don't know, but there are more reptiles being sold at pet stores in the US than there are at expos, online, everything. Like, pet stores sell a higher volume of reptiles than anything else. And where are they getting most of those reptiles? They're getting them through these distributors and all that. And so breeders are, you know, all their lower end stuff, it's going to be really easy to sell all that to pet stores and, you know, really push, you know, kind of change a lot about the industry and how we do things. You know, that's going to be really cool, I think. But
yeah,
that's going to be a big one.
Or would there even be a way for those, like if there's people looking for certain things to buy wholesale, for basically those buyers to put out like an in search of kind of ad, and then I guess have sellers sort of have like a bid process on that?
Yeah, we could probably do something like that. I think the biggest thing is, as a pet store, you know, I mean, I own a pet store myself, so you know, I kind of understand how that works. But basically, you know, you're mainly looking at like cheaper stuff. It's, you know, either hets or normal, you know, a lot of species, and then some of the more basic. I mean, we sell a lot of variety, and a lot of pet stores do, but you know, you're generally looking at like the sub $200-300 range on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, just being able to go into wholesale and seeing, you know, you can sort by basically everything will be the same as it is now for pet stores, but it'll be their own section. You'll still be able to sort things by, you know, whether it's local to you, by species.
I got you.
You can see all animals. You can see stuff, you know, by lowest price,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever you want to find. And then the local portion of that is where it's really going to be key, because now as a pet store owner, you can go on there and find stuff within 50 miles and probably just have it all delivered right to you, you know.
Right.
And now you make these, you know, arrangements with breeders, and, you know, I mean, it'll be pretty cool. You know, I think it's going to change the way that things, you know.
I think the local feature is awesome, because then you know, I live in a relatively small town, and there's definitely people that keep stuff. I think there's a lot of them that I probably don't know about, and so if they're like, just in the aspect of having herpetoculture sort of occur more on the local level, you know, where if you're in an area where there may not be a ton of people that, you know, that keep this stuff but are interested in, you know, in that aspect of sort of bringing people together, I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm just going to answer a few people's questions. So yeah, dry goods, used equipment, things like that. We do plan on adding some of that. It's going to be probably a lot more relevant with the local section. So when you're in local, you know, you'll be able to easily see any kind of like used kind of Craigslist style listings. Let's see. You can already search by distance from you. Yeah, you actually can already search by distance from you. It's just not easy to find and not easy to use. So we're going to add that as like a separate section that is pre-filtered, and then you can modify and change the distance from you, you know, just by sliding, you know, a little bar over. And the local section will also have like kind of like featured stores. And so it'll show, and that's something we're actually adding to the whole site. So like when you're scrolling through ball pythons, you're going to be able to see actual like ball python breeders and follow buttons for those, and pull up their whole store. Same with the local section. If you're on local, you can see like local pet stores to you, local vet clinics, you know, things like that. We're going to kind of make this site a little bit easier to, you know, find what you're looking for and have like more of a directory sort of deal.
Yeah, I think of having a vet directory, especially.
Yeah.
You know, because like we have ARAV now, like there's the ARAV directory, but the problem with that is like if they're not a member of ARAV, then they're not going to be on the directory.
Yep.
So if there's some sort of listing by area in terms of exotic vets or vets that are best equipped in your area to be able to even, you know, handle those kinds of things, that would be, I think, a huge help for a lot of people, because that seems to be the biggest hurdle is, you know, people need an exotic vet and they don't have one nearby, or they don't know of one nearby. So having a, you know, some sort of directory or something would be a big help.
Local feeders. Yeah. So that's something that we want to roll out at some point. We haven't really gotten into it too much, but, you know, especially like live rodents. I mean, you can't ship, you know, live rodents. So we're going to add like a, I don't know, kind of like a rat finder or like mouse finder sort of thing. And, you know, basically you're going to be able to, you know, find local, you know, either pet stores or individuals selling rodents, you know, locally to you. And I think that's going to be really cool. That's going to be something that benefits a lot of people that feed live, you know, which a lot do. So
what about books?
Books.
People were interested in like books. Like there's a couple pages on Facebook that sell like used herp books, and I know those are super popular. I know like within Bill and I's circle, you know, that book table at Daytona is always you know, the first stop for a lot of people. I don't know. There's plenty of book nerds here in the chat.
Yeah, I think we'll have like kind of a Craigslist style section of the site with, you know, local, you know, where you can just find anything available local. If I can sell my some Morph Market, I might go full time.
Yeah, no, that'll help. I mean, I breed my own rodents and stuff, and I don't really advertise it. But if I had something like that where people could find me and they were in a crunch or something, then I'd definitely have myself on that directory.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the rodents, and then also, you know, local, you know, people buying locally. That's something that I've really given a lot of thought to. I haven't come up with a good solution for, but you know, I feel like local is going to be really big, but the downside to it is going to be getting people, you know, kind of the connecting sort of side, you know, where do we meet to like pick this stuff up, or, you know, because it kind of becomes like a Facebook marketplace sort of thing where it's like, oh, meet me at this gas station, you know, and it's like, maybe there's a better way of doing that, either some sort of like partnerships with pet stores or with vet clinics where we can offer, you know, like, hey, here's, you know, the Wichita, you know, Morph Market meetup section, you know, or location. And, you know, I don't know how many pet stores or vet clinics would like go for that sort of thing, but it's you know, it's something that could work really well. So
you'd be surprised with something like that. Like I was involved in a reef club for saltwater stuff for years, and as far as like hosting locals and meetups and stuff, we had a lot of stores that were cool with that, just because people would end up like, oh yeah, I needed a water bowl, or oh, I needed a whatever, because they, you know, they got a lot of incidental purchases by hosting the meetup type of things. So you might get a lot of traction on that, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is, you know, we might actually add a, you know, fish on here at some point. It's a possibility. I haven't really decided on it, but a lot of people keep fish too. You know, it's like, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm sure a large percentage of people with reptiles, amphibians, or inverts also have fish. And, you know, that's something that's the biggest thing, honestly, for me, is fish is a pretty big market, but it's also very dominated by a handful of big, you know, importers and stuff like that. So it's like, you've got a lot of people who sell fish, but they only sell, you know, locally on Facebook, or, you know, to a local pet store. And, you know, if we added fish on there, I mean, it would make, you know, especially with the local section, you know, I think that's a that would be a huge thing for the fish, community.
Yeah, live aquaria dominates online.
Yeah,
I believe it.
But anybody who's breeding fish, now you're able to go sell to everybody, locally to you. And I mean, you've already got the target market there with Morph Market. So a lot of people who kind of cross over into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any, I feel like I know the answer to this, but are there any plans for venomous?
Not at the moment. I've thought about that a lot. I've considered making it more of like a private section that's like, you have to log in and all that. I'm talking with my attorneys about it a little bit more because
there's a lot of liability there.
Yeah, there's a lot more liability, and I mean, I'm not going to get rich off Morph Market, that's for sure. And it's pretty. I'm pretty heavily invested into this, and if something goes wrong, I mean,
yeah,
I'm done for. Yeah. So I'm not going to take too much risk with it. That's a big thing that I'm, pretty adamant about. So it's
how do the shipping companies? You announced the other day on Facebook about like inclusion of all shipping companies. How's that? What's the sort of the game plan with that?
Well, I love Redline. I love Robin. He's a good guy, and my only thing is that I feel like having like a specific sponsor or a preferred shipper or anything like that just kind of alienates everybody else. You're pretty much whatever, 30% of people use them, 30% of people use, it's all split. So you got Reptiles to You, Ship Your Reptiles, Redline, and then Reptiles Express. And so it's like everybody uses their own thing and they have their own preferred shipper. And I'd rather just allow all of them to be a sponsor and then have their own page with all their own information and own discounts and things like that. And then, have like a main shipping page with more of, information that all of them agree on, as these are your shipping standards that everybody needs to meet. That way sellers aren't shipping stuff without foam and, styrofoam and stuff like that. There's still some of that happening, and that stuff has to stop because it's just, not a good look for us or anybody else. So, and that's the way I see Morph Market is like, it's the whole industry and it's everybody. And we can't have, I have to kind of like, I can't play favorites on there. I can't do anything specific to like push others, push somebody else above somebody. And I also can't really, I don't really want to set specific standards and, things that are going to happen. Cause the big thing for me is that it reflects on all the sellers on there. So if buyers are having a bad experience from a specific seller, then in my opinion, that seller has to go because it looks bad on everybody. And if there's a ton of people having issues with a seller and it's far beyond everybody else, because we have all this, data where we can see, hey, these people, we get the most complaints about this, and this. And when it's extreme, it's just like, hey, we gotta,
Yeah, that's a tough one to navigate too, I'm sure, because it's like, what's sort of the threshold for determining that? Is it 10 complaints? Is it 50? Is it 100?
Yeah, I mean, that's, when you have overwhelming amount of, negative, and that's the other thing too, it's hard to make decisions on stuff like that. I'm pretty lenient with things. I'm very lenient with things. People who know me, know that. But when somebody's like flat out lying, that's my big thing. It's like you got some sellers who, just flat out lie, and buyers who just flat out lie about things and then they're caught in it. And I'm like, see you later. Like if you're going to lie to Morph Market about what's going on and you flat out like send us fabricated documents that are like, oh yeah, we sent this, and then we're like, that doesn't even exist. Like, that's not real, you know. And then they send us something else, and they're like, oh well, okay, it was this, you know. Basically, you catch them in a lie like that, and it's like, how many times are they going to lie to the buyer or the seller, you know? And it's like, and then it just goes back on us, you know. I mean, we've got, even on Facebook, you know, Morph Market has some bad reviews on Facebook, you know, and like 1-star, you know, negative reviews. And it's all like, oh, I bought from this seller and had this problem and it wasn't fixed. And it's like, when we get a ton, you know, from one seller, then we got a problem, because it's going to affect us and affect every other seller. So
is there going to be a way for sellers to dispute ratings?
We do have a dispute process, which is really good, because, and Morph Market in the past has gotten really involved with some of this stuff, where like we dig into things and talk with the buyer, talk with the seller, we mediate, you know, the situation, which I agree with to an extent. But at the same time, it's like, you know, as a buyer, you're kind of dealing with a seller, and overall, I mean, if you're doing a good job, you're not going to have a ton of bad, you know, negative issues.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm thinking mostly the people that buy something and then, you know, a month later it dies, and then all of a sudden they're blaming the seller when it was something that was clearly out of their control. And
yeah, and it's stuff like that where I'm, you know, I sit there, I'm like, okay, that's, you know, that's dumb, you know, whatever. It's not on the seller. But you know, when a specific seller has 10 complaints in just, you know, a month, and they're all, you know, oh, I got mites, you know, and things like that, it's like, well, the seller obviously has a mite problem. Like, there's not going to be 10 random people saying, oh, this person has mites, or, oh, you know, this person didn't, you know, whatever, these people paid me, you know, said they paid me, and then, you know, file a chargeback. And it's like, if there's a buyer that has done that, you know, 3 out of 10 times, and we've had set 3, you know, out of 10 transactions, 3 sellers have said, hey, this person's filed a chargeback and got their you know, their money back.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty high, you know, like, see you later. You know, you're not going to buy on Morph Market anymore. So, you know, it's tough, because some of it's kind of questionable. And when it's something really questionable, you know, we're just going to be like, all right, whatever, it's a wash, you know, who knows? But when it's like obvious, I mean, it's really just, you know, and it happens many times, you know, there's a problem. So I'll figure out a few better ways of doing things, hopefully, you know, in the next few months. But
a lot of it just seems like small tweaks that we've all sort of become accustomed to across platforms. You know, I haven't been on Fawn in I don't know how long. I forgot my login, and every time I try to put it in there, it says it's wrong, and I've not had the energy to change my password. But man, like, part of me really wishes they'd bring the BOI back public, because the entertainment value just in the BOI section was so worth it.
Yeah.
So Morph Market needs to make their own version of that. Call it the Octagon.
Yep. Would be entertaining. I mean, that's pretty much Facebook groups now. So
yeah,
that's those places get pretty wild.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Bill, do you have anything else?
No, I thought any of the static around Morph Market changing hands was silly in the first place. It's a private business that I just use to shop on. Like, I don't understand. Like, people were kind of losing their minds a little bit on social media, and I was like, yeah, I clicked on it. It pretty much looks the same when I'm searching out weird rat snakes and geckos nobody cares about. So I'm cool. Like, I never understood like why people got so. Yeah, but to me, like, I don't know. I'm almost a little like uncomfortable. Like, this dude doesn't know me. He doesn't have to tell me anything. Like, he bought a business from some guy I don't know. Like, he doesn't owe me any explanation for, like, that's a private transaction. Like, that's not my business. I don't think.
No, I get it. Yeah,
I don't
people
know.
losing their mind on social media.
I enjoy it. I like the platform. I think the stuff you're talking about makes sense. I just didn't understand it's a new guy. I'm like, I don't know either guy. Is it the same? And they're like, yeah, mostly. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I don't know.
It's like I said, it's just
know.
knowing John and like knowing that he even, he carried around his little black book, and if you had an idea, he was like writing it down, and it was like, okay, this guy's
No, he was writing your names down. He's like, oh, this guy's an asshole. Don't don't let him on there anymore. Push his listings down.
Yeah. And it's something I think because it's become sort of the standard, people are they know what they have and they know what they like, and there's that fear of the unknown is all it was, and like I said, because I think it happened so suddenly, like maybe the reaction wouldn't have been so dramatic if there was some sort of post saying, Morph Market's changing hands soon, and then people would have sort of been able to expect it. But yeah, it was mostly just the whole
my
like,
thing with
what
that
are they
though
going to
is
do
that
to it?
like I don't think you need to make that post. Like, that's not my business. Like, I don't feel as though I have a right to expect a post on that because I don't own Morph Market. So like, I don't know. I'm happy that you came to talk to us, and I loved all the stuff that you were saying, and I'm glad to hear it. But like, it's very weird to me that like Reptile social media thinks that like you had to come tell us because you're buying the thing we like, and it's like, no, you don't. You don't have to do that. Like, I don't know. I'm glad you
I've
did.
always been really transparent about things, so but yeah, I'm going to make some changes, but I mean, people need to realize, I guess the main takeaway is just, it's going to be easier to use. You're going to get more buyers. You're going to have a better, experience, and you're going to make more money. Like, that's it. I mean, I'm not like, doing a bunch of weird stuff. There's not really going to be a ton of crazy changes that we're going to make. We're not going to make a ton of things that make it, harder for people. I mean, just today, we were talking about, changing like images and how they work and things like that. And a bunch of people, gave me information on like why we shouldn't do that. And, I'm probably not going to make that change in the way that I had originally thought of doing it because most people don't agree with it. And it's like, so, I mean, I will say that if you come at me like, oh, freaking out about something, I might just do it just to spite you, just for the hell of it, and I might put something on your account that like, makes you aware that like, hey, yeah, we did this, because you were being a douche.
We're watching you.
I don't know. It's just, I'm not going to change a whole lot. I mean, we're going to add a lot of cool features. We're going to make a lot of things better in a lot of ways. And while I don't, I don't want to make a ton of changes that are going to cause, issues for buyers or sellers. That's my big thing. I don't want to, I mean, that's not what I'm in, I'm not sitting here like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have a power trip and like do whatever I want on here. And, it's like, I'm trying to get feedback. I want to get people to, the more feedback I have, the better. And, that's pretty much it. Just trying to make it a better platform. So
someone asked about posting videos on like for sale posts.
Videos are tough. That is something that we're probably going to work on for the more premium accounts, because that is something that costs a ton of money. I mean, this is just so everybody's aware, Morph Market is completely custom built. It's very complicated. There are thousands upon thousands of files, and I mean, it's a lot, and it's all completely custom built. So everything is, custom hosting and all that we're not using some service, and it's very expensive to run. And so when you add video and all that, I mean, not only does it complicate things, but it also, it adds a lot of cost. So we're probably going to add it for like pro members and maybe the next tier down. But we really have to get people to pay the additional to cover the additional cost of running the platform. So Video is definitely something that we will be considering this year, and you know, I think there's a few other features that people are really going to like. But you know, I guess my big thing here is everybody used king snake and fauna forever, and Morph Market is now the next thing. But if somebody came in and was like, "Oh, I'm going to change king snake and fauna," you know, 10 years ago, everybody probably would have, you know, lost their minds and said, "Oh, don't change it. This is what I'm used to. Oh, blah, blah, blah." And it's the same with Morph Market. Like, Morph Market can't be what it is right now in 5 years, because if it is, something else is going to come in and Morph Market won't exist. I can't have that happen because I'm invested in this, you know, long term. And, you know, so I have to improve it constantly, or somebody else is going to come in and then I'm going to be stuck with something that's, you know, worth nothing. So, you know, I got loans to pay. So, yeah, this is a long-term investment for me. So this is a, you know, 10-year project at least. Let's see.
Well, Mike Kosicki was, I think, having a same sentiment that a lot of the older guys had. He said, "My point of view on this is I just opened a Morph Market account end of last year, sold a few things, inquired on a few things, just got it figured out, and now it's all going to change."
Yeah, we've got a new Morph Market coming out, so we're going to switch it all. It's going to be more like TikTok. It's all video only. You got to talk in the video, you know.
You got to dance.
Yeah, you got to dance. You got to, yeah. No, we're not going to do anything like that. I actually did have kind of an idea of like kind of a Tinder sort of thing where, you know, for reptiles, and we just take all the Morph Market listings and you can just swipe left or right on them. You know, left if you don't want to see it, right if you like it, and then you can see all your reptiles that you like. You know, be kind of cool, but I also don't want to go down that path with everything. It would be kind of a cool, you know, like thing that you could click into and, you know, click into if you want to just browse, you know, late at night, you're just chilling and want to look at a bunch of reptiles at random, and it's all like popular stuff. It'd be kind of cool.
Please find my reptile wife.
Oh, we could.
You said you need a dating section.
We could make Morph Mingle, you know, Morph Mingle, and sound a clock makes.
Well, I think we just about covered everything.
Yeah.
I think it's in good hands. I hope
see.
this helped clear some stuff up for everybody. A little bit shorter of an episode, but that works out for me. Because I get to go to bed earlier than usual. So, any closing remarks?
Guess if anybody has any other serious questions.
Yeah, where can people get a hold of you?
Get a hold of me?
Yeah.
Facebook, I guess. It's probably the easiest. Or email. You can email Darien@morphmarket.com, and yeah.
Complaints@morphmarket.com.
Yeah, complaints go to Darien@morphmarket.com.
Awesome. Bill, anything?
No, I thought it was good. Like I said, man, I have a weird perspective because I only buy stuff. I don't sell stuff. So it was interesting to hear kind of the other end of it, of, you know, what sellers are looking at, you know, that kind of thing as far as updates for that. So I thought it was good. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram, and then roll on over to Puget Sound Pythons. Check them out as well on Facebook and Instagram. Go on Morph Market, give them a follow, see what they've got for sale. I don't know what they got planned breeding this year. I know they got a wedding coming up, so they may have taken the season off. we'll be back Thursday for the next episode of Corn Stars. And we will see everyone later.